Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be taking a look at how I painted up this snow base for this Redemptor dreadnought. So the base has just been covered over with a quick airbrush layer of Mechanica Standard Grey, but if you have the Rattlecam Primer version then honestly just use that, but any just standard grey for our base coats. And then our first step is going to just be a quick all over wash with Agrax Earthshade. So with that Agrax all dry, obviously now we do have really nice deep definition in all of those recesses, especially on these nice Celtic cross type emblems. All of those got really nice dark recesses. So next up, we're going to begin our dry brushing. So we're going to do quite a few rounds of dry brushing here to build up to a nice stony colour. And then after that, we're going to be applying on our snow effects. So first up, we have got Storm Vermin Fur. And we're just going to go around the base and just give this a nice quick dry brush, hitting all of those raised areas and leaving that Agrax in the recesses. After the Storm Vermin Fur, we're going to take some Dawnstone, and this is going to be a little bit lighter than the last step, but we're still going to be looking to catch most of the raised edges of the model. After the Dawnstone step, we're going to take some Cardra Grey from the Iron Painter. Now, if you wanted to stick with specifically Citadel colours, you would use something like Administratum Grey here instead. Our next step is to take some Ushabti bone. This is going to actually really help give it a proper sort of stony look. Now, if you don't have Ushabti bone, you could use Karak stone here instead. And this time, this is going to be a lot more focused on specifically like the edges of these rocks here, and just be fairly careful with it. You don't want to overload with the Ushabti bone because it is, as you can see, it is quite bright. So just be careful with it and just apply it to some of the select key areas around the base. So with the Ushabti bone all dry, here is the finished dry brushing effect. Now, if you wanted to do obviously like a urban rubble kind of base, then this would be absolutely fine at this point. Now, for our base though, since we're doing it for that dreadnought, we do need to put some snow onto it. So for the snow products, we've got two different types here. We've got the AK snow and the Vallejo snow. Now, the reason I've got two different ones is that they have different sort of finishes and texture. So the AK one is a lot more thick and gloopy, and it can also be thinned down with water. So this is really good for representing snow that's maybe fallen the day before and is sort of like frozen over. And then the Vallejo snow is a lot thinner. It's more of a almost like a powder kind of snow. So this is really good for doing snow that's falling like that day kind of thing. So when actually applying your snow, one of the things I would say is don't completely overload the base. So we want to still see some of our like stone texture through, or else it's just going to be essentially a white base at that point. So don't use too much and just kind of choose selected areas around your base. And then just put it on, and it helps to have a stiff bristled brush here, and then just work that snow into your base. So here we are with that first round of snow all applied. You can see, like I say, I haven't gone completely mad. I haven't just covered the whole base. I've really focused on areas where that snow would actually build up and form. So these ruins are a really good example, building up that snow in there, and there, and there. And then what I'm going to do next, because the AK snow can be thinned down quite nicely, we're going to thin it down into almost a bit of like a shade consistency, and we're going to paint this over some of these flatter areas to resemble almost like a frosty, icy kind of look. So here we are after that thinned down version of our AK snow has been applied. And you can see it just helps to really sort of blend more of the actual like piles of snow in, because we've then essentially feathered it out and given a bit more of a frosty, icy look to the base. So next up then, we're going to use some of that Vallejo snow. Like this one is a bit more powdery, so this one's just going to be applied more just like an overcoat over some of the areas. And here we go. So with the Vallejo snow all applied, you can see it's just a little bit whiter than the AK stuff. The AK stuff you can work around a bit more because it's a bit thicker, so it's really good for making more of like these like faded out sort of snow lines, whereas the Vallejo stuff is a lot gloopier. It kind of just, you put it somewhere and if you try to fade it out then it doesn't really work. So, but it is whiter and it does have a bit more texture to it, which will be a little bit hard to tell on camera, but in real life it really does. But yeah, so by mixing up both of the different versions of the snow and then also doing like that thinned out version to make more of a frosty, melted snow kind of look, it just really helps to just tie everything together and it's not just white, you know? By having the variety in there, it makes it look like an actual lived in sort of worn place.